A Kahoot by the OG of IT. Keith Barker, metrics, priority, and other numbers that you need to know. Question number 1. Good luck, everybody. All right, Denver, Colorado is in the house. Hyped Rito, welcome, welcome. All right, we've got somebody posting a few answers in the queue. At least one of them is not correct, so final moments, here we go. I'm curious. Wow, that's great. 32 of you nailed it. This is a question. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that has been taught not great over the decades. And some people might say this. Let me bring up this for a moment. Some people might say, oh, a spanning tree. We don't use spanning tree anymore. Well, I've got news for everybody within the sound of my voice. Spanning tree is not going anywhere anytime soon. No. As we start deploying SD access and layer 3 to each port and so forth, that takes a lot of money and a lot of time. So for the next many, probably decades, we're still going to have layer 2. We're still going to have spanning tree. And understanding how it works is, important just to be aware of. So should we make a career on memorizing the details of spanning tree? Probably not. But should we be aware of how it works? Yes. So let's take a look at this real quick. This guy's the root bridge. And if he's the root bridge right here, how did he get that job? The answer is he's got the best priority. So the bridge ID is made up, as you probably know, of priority and then the MAC, the base MAC address, not this MAC address or this MAC address, but the base MAC address built into the system. So if whoever has the lowest priority is going to have the lowest bridge ID, and that becomes root. So this guy wins. Then this guy is going to have the best costs. So as far as forwarding, he's going to have a root port here, and then this guy here. Switch C, which is not the root bridge, he has to decide on what's his best path, what's the root port. So, because a lot of you got this right, let me make this fairly quick. If this guy has 2 paths, so switch C says, I've got 2 possible paths to get to the root. I've got gig 0/2 and 0/1. So the first thing he asks is, which interface has the least cost? Like bargain basement shopping, like golf. Spanning tree is all about lower numbers. So a lower number really means a better priority. So you have to be careful with the numbering. But so this guy has 2 equal cost paths as far as the cost advertised by switch B. And then he says, okay, great. What's the tiebreaker going to be? Because the bridge ID is the same for this upstream switch on both. So the tiebreaker is if the port priority is the same, the advertised port that has the lowest port ID. So gig 0/1 is advertising in its BPDUs. It's advertising, hey, I've got a port ID of, X. And on gig 02, it's doing, I've got a port ID of X plus a little bit more. Let's call it X plus 1, depending on where it started. And then when switch C gets that, it says, oh, I've got everything equal except for the port IDs. And that's the final tiebreaker. And because I'm learning right here, the port ID of gig 0/1, which is going to be lower than gig 0/2, I will make this my root port, and I will go ahead and, whether it's spanning tree, with like rapid spanning tree or traditional spanning tree, it's going to be blocking, even though in rapid spanning tree they call that discarding. So we should have gig 0/2 being the root port there. That's the theory, anyway. And let me go ahead and bring something up to share with you. Let me bring up this, here's the actual lab right here, and you can see right here, the LED indicator. Let me bring this a little bit bigger. That's a little bit bigger. The LED indicator right there indicates that it's not forwarding. So it's gig 0/2 is forwarding, and that's because gig 01, if we take a look at gig 01 on switch B, and we go to the CLI here for a moment. Oh, yeah. Oh, I just did that. dang, I didn't turn off domain lookup. I'm going to fast forward that through time and space through the magic of Packet Tracer. And, and I'll do, I'm not going to change it now. I'm just going to do a show. Let's do a show spanning tree for VLAN 1. And here we have, right here, we have the two interfaces going to the right, gig 0/2 and 0/1. And look at this, they both have the same priority, but gig 0/1 has a port number of 25, which is lower than 26. And that's why on the receiving side, switch 2 chose the gig 0/2 port to be its root port. We can verify that as well. And we'll just show spanning tree. There we go. Let me bring that up a little bit bigger so we can see it. Yep. There it is. All right. So the root port is that guy. So here's the moral of that story. The moral of that story is when you hear something, study something, lab it up. And if it doesn't pan out, there's a couple possibilities that I've discovered. One is I labbed this up wrong, and then that's a learning experience. Or that's not working how I thought it would work, which that's a learning experience. And then there's also that option like, I wonder if this is just like Packet Tracer that's doing it incorrectly. I'd like to say that 4 times out of 5 or 9 times out of 10, pretty up there, that when we have a problem that we think is Packet Tracer, usually not. I mean, Packet Tracer does have a couple little tweaks, but you don't really notice those until you get to the professional level or in corner cases. So lab it up, lab it up, lab it up. That's a great way to do it. All right. Okay, so that was the answer to that question. Let's go back to the quiz. And I need to bring up the right screen for that, which is right here. Let me close that. And fantastic. I don't think any of you will, if you missed this question, I don't think any of you, you're now aware of it. So you can study it, brush up on it, get really good at it, and move forward. So a lot of these questions in this quiz are about metrics and values and priorities, who wins, who doesn't win, what's used. It's a good refresher. All right, so at the top of the heap, we have Brave Elephant. Oh, so brave. Awesome. Okay, question 2 of 11. What will cause a switch to be the root of a spanning tree? Oh my gosh. I think I just gave this one away. But before you jump on an answer, pay attention to the wording of the answers. I'm looking for the number. And Jeff is either asking or stating, is 7.31 the latest version of Packet Tracer? And I just downloaded that a couple days ago, and I believe it was 7.3.1 from netacad.com, which is free. All right, Dennis Pana saying, tomorrow's the big day, CCNA exam tomorrow. All right, Dennis, good luck. Before we follow up on this question, for Dennis and anybody else who's pursuing their CCNA, there's a playlist on YouTube on my channel called the Online Quizzes. And I would encourage you to take, there's over 200 questions. It's a good sampling from most of the domains. I would encourage you to go through that and make sure you are ready to rock. And if there's any questions, also, I'm doing instructor hours starting, what day is it? Next Sunday. Yeah, I'm sorry. Today is Sunday. And next Saturday, starting at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. So if you want to put that in your calendars, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So get out the World Calendar Adjuster. I'm going to do Keith Barker office hours. What does that mean? Well, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on the Discord server, Kelvin, one of the admins, who's amazing, by the way, he helped me do the proofing for these questions today. Incredible young man, just unstoppable. So I shout out to Kelvin. Thank you for all your assistance. He helped me set up an instructor hours room for Keith's office hours, I'm calling it. And so every Saturday, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, adjust that for your own calendar. If you have any questions that you are currently studying, let's say you're studying routing, switching, security, network automation regarding the CCNA, and you want to bring those, you're studying it already. Like if you come and ask me, here's the reality. If you come and say, Keith, can you teach me what a VLAN is? There's a few videos out there on the channel that talk about VLAN. So my anticipation is you've already studied something and you just want clarification on that. Why is this, or how does that work, or what's the default for that, or I didn't quite get that, that's what the office hours are for. The office hours are there for you. And if you want to connect with me, and if you just want to be a fly on the wall, come and join us, 10 a.m. Saturdays, Pacific time, and I'll do it for exactly 1 hour each Saturday. And we'll just focus on the questions you're bringing to the table. Like a lot of times I get questions of, hey, I'm doing this packet tracer lab, and it's one you built, and I'm stuck here. Great. Just save it at that point and upload it. There's a little text chat room there on Discord as well. So you can actually upload that for me as well. So during the actual instructor hours, if you've got a lab you want me to look at, perfect time. So calendar that. One of the secrets of success with studying anything is scheduling time and using it. So I would encourage everybody who's studying for CCNA, schedule that hour at 10 o'clock a.m. every Saturday. I will be there taking your questions and helping you elaborate on those topics that you need a little more help on. And I'm pretty comfortable that I could attack almost everything at the CCNA level. A double CCIE, I'm happy to do it. All right, let me go ahead and go back to this screen. And Keith Barker, where are you from? I grew up in Southern California, and I currently live with my wife in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been here since, off and on, mostly since 95. All right, so let's take a look at the next question. Thanks for that question. And here we go. Question 3 of 11. All right, back on track. What's the one thing you can do, my friend, talking to you, that you can do right now to do even better with your studies? Little reflection here. I'm giving you 90 seconds to think about that. I'd like you to type in your answers. All right, Henry is asking, Keith, what about CCNP candidates? We need you. In the office hours, I'm going to focus on CCNA candidates first. But if we're doing an office hour, like at 10 o'clock on Saturdays and Pacific time, and there are no CCNA questions left, if there's time, and you've got a CCNP level question about route redistribution or prefix lists, or dynamic multi-point VPNs, or MPLS, whatever it is, I'm happy to take the time. I'm going to spend the hour there. So if you want to come and stand in the queue for a CCNP level question, I wouldn't turn you down if there was no CCNAs in front of you. My priority, though, is for the common man or woman who's working on their CCNA to help give them a leg up. All right, here we go. Thanks for the kind words in the comments, by the way. I appreciate everybody being here. Oh, I'm excited. What are the answers here? Lab. Okay, the one thing you can do right now to do better with your studies is lab it up, focus, practice, time management. Holy spamoli. Now, I get to keep these answers as they come in so I can look back at it later. I totally agree. If you're able to, if you're on a phone and you have an option to capture the screen, great, do it. If you're on a Windows computer, I think you do the Windows Shift S or whatever. Or if you can capture the screen or print screen, I would do it. And I would come back to this and say, okay, like tomorrow you're working on your labs, you want to work more on your labs. Take this. This is us. We are the people studying for new technologies and getting better at our skills. Let's leverage each other. Let's get in there and help each other and say, you know what? I need to stop procrastinating. I need to lab it up more. I need to do hands-on practice, time management. So thank you for that feedback. You guys rock. And I'm proud of you. Let's do it. Let's get it done. What makes a floating static route float? Halloween's coming. Ooh, that's what I'm putting on my door. I'm going to put IP route 10.0.2.0 with a 24-bit mask with an administrative distance of 70 or 80 or 90 or 200. And that's going to be my Halloween contribution. It's going to be a floating static route. That joke will be appreciated by exactly nobody who comes to my door. Actually, Halloween this year is going to be weird, huh? Probably won't be too many trick-or-treaters. In any event, that's my floating static route decoration for Halloween. When it takes 5 or 6 minutes to explain why a joke is funny, it's probably too late. Oh, Kitty Meow says, I'd like to tell you a joke about UDP, but you probably wouldn't get it. There'll certainly be no way to know if I got it. That's true. All right, floating static routes have a higher administrative distance, and that's why they're floating. Fantastic. Way to go. All right, as we continue on, Amusing Hen has 2,714 points, followed by Funny Emu, and then Melodic Ken. If you are on this leaderboard at this point, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for showing up here today and spending a few minutes. If you are not on this leaderboard, I would also like to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for participating, because no baby was ever born that where the doctor said, or the person who helped with the birth, whatever that person would be, who said, oh, this child is going to be a network engineer. This person is going to... It's all learned. And I remember when I'm learning something brand new, it's frustrating. It's like, oh, I'm not even smart enough to know what to do next. But as you start tackling the topics one by one, or attending these quizzes and giving it your best effort, you can then go back and start backfilling that information with whatever you're using to study. So way to go on being here. Proud of you. Let's continue on. We are about halfway through. What is the default OSPF hello interval if an interface is on Ethernet? That'd be fast Ethernet, Ethernet, gigabit Ethernet, 10 gig Ethernet. What's the default hello interval? All right, it is 10 seconds, and one of the best ways to know that is, well, what is a good way of knowing that? I guess what we could do is we could bring up like something like this. Let me change the screen just a little bit. And we could enable OSPF. I'm just using secure CRT and setting these commands to all 4 routers. Network, and then I'll put in a wildcard mask of everything and say you all belong to area 0. Then we do a show IP interface brief. Now, show IP OSPF interface would be better. Now, this is one of those commands, show IP OSPF interface, that does work on packet tracer, but the actual brief command has a little bit of a challenge. But if we scroll up here and we look at gigabit 01, which is, let's look at one that's up. There we go. So right there, the hello interval. This is for interface gig 0/1. Right there, the defaults for Ethernet is it's a broadcast network, and the hello interval is 10. And if those hello intervals don't match up, that means those 2 neighbors will not peer up, which is a problem. All right, and there's our adjacency. Fantastic. Okay, back to the big screen. Let's continue. 6 of 11. Using OSPF defaults, what is the cost from router 1 to router 4 to get to the 10.4.0 network? I gave you 120 seconds on this one. All interfaces are gigabit. This is from R1's perspective. What's the OSPF cost to get to 10.4.0, which is hanging off of R4's 0/1 interface? I'd like to thank Kelvin for jumping in on some of those chats. Kelvin, I appreciate you, and other people who are answering other people's questions. Thank you. We all win together. Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. 52 on the exact correct answer. Let's talk about why that might be the correct answer. I'm very pleased, by the way. Way to go. Let me choose a different color here. So there's a thing called auto cost reference bandwidth, which is 100 megabits per second. Long story short, gigabit interfaces all have a cost of 1 by default. So do fast Ethernet by default, with the auto cost reference bandwidth being a default of 100. So if we are forwarding a packet this direction, each router is an OSPF. They all know, if this is all in area 0, they all know all the interfaces and their link costs from the link state advertisements. So there's firsthand knowledge because those LSAs are forwarded throughout the entire area. So R1 says, well, to get to this network, it would be a cost of 1. We look at the egress or outbound interfaces, 1 there, plus 1 there, plus 1 there, plus 1 there. Let me do the math, says R4. 1, 2, 3, I think it'd be 4. Now, here's the kicker. If we were studying this or curious, is that true or how's that work? Just like you mentioned earlier, and like what's the one thing we can do to improve our studies is we could go ahead and lab that up. So if we went to, I don't know, where are we ever going to find 4 routers that are running OSPF? How about right here? So if we do a show IP protocols, show IP protocols is going to show us the running routing protocols. So here we have OSPF. Let me change that screen size just a little bit, make it a little easier to read. So this is OSPF process ID 1. Here's our router ID, which is chosen based on the router ID being set manually, or the highest, if we don't have one set, the highest loopback IP address when OSPF came up. If we don't have a loopback, it's the highest IP address on an active interface when OSPF came up. And either way, it's 1111 here. And these routers 2, 3, and 4, well, those router IDs of 2, 3, and 4 respectively, those are the other 4 networks in these routers from R1 to 2 to 3 to 4. So what are we looking at? Oh, and then if we do a show IP interface brief and show IP OSPF interface, and let's just do a show IP OSPF interface for gig 0/1. So right here, there's lots of ways of looking at this, by the way, but here the cost of 1. So that interface has a cost of 1. All the gigabit interfaces have a cost of 1. So we do a show IP route, and then we just look for the 10.0.4 network. There's a way of showing just that one route. Oh, it's not there. Oh, that's because it's 10.4.0. I was shocked. I think it's there. There we go. So there is the route. The metric it says is 4. Look at that. It says metric. And if we do a show IP route, that same route right here, same route exactly. It's an OSPF learned route. It has an O in front of it over here on the left. And the AD, the administrative distance for OSPF, is 110. And there is our cost. In OSPF, we'd refer to that as a cost. All right. So labbing it up would be helpful with all that stuff. You guys did great. I'll bring back the full screen. And let's take a look at the next question. Top of the heap, funny emu. Congratulations. What is the default AD, administrative distance, for a directly connected network route? Ooh, this is on the edge. This is on the edge of CCNA/CCNP, but I think you can deduce what the correct answer may be. And Kitty Meow, regarding that last question, absolutely right. It's just the interfaces going towards the network where we're worrying about the costs, including EIGRP. There's an EIGRP question coming up too, by the way. And Mihai and Kitty Meow, thanks for encouraging our brothers and sisters to join the game through the website or the app. I appreciate you pitching in. You guys are great. All right, the default administrative distance for a directly connected network route is 0, which is pretty good because as we remember how routing works, to get in the routing table, lower is better for AD. And so directly connected networks, which in this output, I don't have a single one. There's a default route. There's a route learned via OSPF. Oh, here we go. Right there at the very bottom. So the loopback interface 4444 is directly connected, loopback 0. That would have an AD of 0. Now, it doesn't show you that. It just says it's directly connected, but be aware that if you have a directly connected network, by default, that AD is 0, meaning it's very trusted. So this router learns another network that's in conflict with that. The administrative distance of 0 is pretty hard to beat. All right, let's continue. Question 811, true or false? This is double points, true or false? There's over 200 plus questions in the Keith Barker quiz playlist here on YouTube. Is that true? Or is it false? If you follow me on social, you might have a huge clue on this. And the faster you answer, the more points you get. It's like a land grab. Thanks, Kitty Meow. You're great. All right, absolutely true. So if you're studying for your CCNA or think you're getting close, and you can go by topic too. So you can go, they're labeled, so you can just go to the quiz that's most applicable to you and have at it. All right, we have 3 more. Question 9 of 11, using EIGRP defaults, what is the metric from R1 to R4's gig 0/1, which is this 10/4 network over here on the right? I'm going to be quiet so you guys can think about this for a moment. And the pin, Coles Tech, is at the very bottom of the screen. Higher than 10. I would strongly agree with higher than 10. Now, a little one-on-one conversation with you right here. On the blueprint for CCNA, it has no mention whatsoever, specifically I should say, of EIGRP. And so I have been bombarded in the last month or two by candidates saying, oh, it's not on the blueprint, Keith, but I would have been very grateful for several questions in my certification exam had I known a little bit more about EIGRP. So I dug into that. I confirmed that's true, that you will benefit in your CCNA experience by knowing more about EIGRP, and that's why I dropped a video, what day was it? A couple days ago on EIGRP. And it's titled something like, Why EIGRP and How Important Is It for the CCNA Candidate? And then I explain how it works. I also want to do a little confession regarding EIGRP. I've known about EIGRP for a long time, maybe close to 20 years. In my Cisco journey, I got my first CCNA back in 1999, then my first CCIE in 2001, and kept on going. But when I first learned about EIGRP, it was taught in such a way that the reported distance, advertised distance, and as a value, and it wasn't until like maybe 10 years later, like 15 years ago, where I really started digging into it using protocol analysis and looking at the details, thinking everything I've been taught, like not everything, but like the concepts in my mind, I'll take my own personal responsibility. The concepts in my mind regarding EIGRP and how it works, it wasn't accurate. So I dug in with the protocol analyzer about 15 years ago and dug in And I've distilled that information about the basics of it, including how it really works, in that video. So if you're in your CCNA journey, it's in the master playlist for CCNA on the YouTube. So peek at that, take a few minutes, and also there's a quiz on EAGRP. Both of those are going to serve you well. If you're worried like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be one question away from passing, don't pass on those. It'll be worth it. All right, so what's the best way to verify EAGRP metrics? Now, I won't repeat all the details from the lab or the video because I provided that along with a packet tracer lab as well. But there is a way we could verify this together, and that would involve something like this. So I've got these 4 routers. I got router 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if we want to verify how they're connected, we do a show CDP neighbors just to verify okay. So off of gig 0/1 locally on R1, we're connected to R2 or connected to its gig 0/0. And we could follow the chain. And so basically I've got router 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And if we wanted to put currently, if we do a show IP route, and I'll just put OSPF, that just simply says, please show me the OSPF learned routes. And there's 10.4 right there. Now in the old days, I don't know if they told you this or not, but in the old days, they didn't sort these numerically for us. Like if you had a routing table like 100 routes, you'd have to search through them because they were not sorted numerically. Now they are. They've been that way for many years. It's very convenient. I always, every time I see a routing table, I think, oh, I'm so glad they're sorting it. So here's our route right there. It's being learned via OSPF because OSPF has an AD of 110 and we have no other routing protocols running. But if we went to every router and we did this, config T, router EAGRP. Now, when we get to CCNP, at CBT Nuggets, I created a whole bunch of CCNP level courses, but when a person gets to their studies for EIGRP, just be aware there's an older way of doing it, a newer way of doing it with named EIGRP, but this is a simple way of doing it. So if you do router EIGRP1, which is an autonomous system number, all the routers who want to join the party have to be part of EIGRP autonomous system 1. And to add all the networks in, we're going to type in network 0000. And then if that's working, we should have some neighborships that are coming up. Am I not doing this on all routers? Let's take a look at R2. Oh, yeah. I'm not doing it on Windows. All right, that would explain why. I'll do this to all Windows. Config T. Let's press enter a few times. There we go. All right, config D, router, EIGRP1. Do debug IP routing. All right, and that's what I'm going to show you the routes being swapped out with a better AD coming in from EIGRP, and then network 0000, and press enter. There we go. And here's now our routing debugs showing us that closer admin distance for all the routes because it was at an AD of 110 for OSPF. Now it's at an AD of 90, which are winning. And so that's how routes get chosen to go into the routing table. If there's competing routing protocols, the one with the lowest AD, those routes are going to win. And then I'm going to do a no auto summary, even though I think it's disabled by default. All right. So now, if we did a show, let's see, I could just do this on with this one router. If we did a show IP route for 10.0.4.0. Gosh darn, there's my dyslexia. I can't even say dyslexia. 10.4.0.0. So this is currently showing us right here that the metric is 3,584. That's the cost. So if we looked at, it's literally called a metric, but that's the value for how good that route is. It's also showing us here the two main factors, including the sum of the delays and the minimum bandwidth in the path. But what I want to show you here was the metric is pretty darn high, and if we do a show IP route, you might think, well, how does a metric right here for 10.4, how does a metric of 3,584, how does that beat out OSPF, which is, it was 4? How's that? Why are we using this? The answer is AD. AD gets us into the routing table. Once we have routes in the routing table, then it is always the longest match once we're in the routing table. So AD first, lowest wins, then the longest match wins once we have those routes in the route. Just think of it as a two-step process, and that'll serve you the rest of your routing career. And this also is applicable to other vendors as well. who use this kind of logic. Okay. All right. So let's go back to this bigger screen. I will minimize that one. We'll click on next. It's higher than 10. All right, confirm that. And I think we have like 1 or 2 questions left. And one of these is going to be a gimme. It's going to be so easy based on what we just looked at. So here we go. Question 10 of 11. Double points. 2 routing protocols. Present a route. What is the deciding factor for the winning route? And Nicholas, regarding your question, 80 wins over longest match. It's a 2-step process. The first one is, how does a route get into the routing table? That's all based on AD. And then once we have a routing table, then it's always the longest match, which is also answering this question. And Kelvin's confirming that. Thank you as well. And Smeet, you are very welcome. I'm happy to do this. Omer, you're welcome. All right. There we go. So we've talked about that a few times. It's important to realize that's how it works. And the best way to get better at remembering these and the details and how it works is to lab it up, which I encourage everyone to do. Packet Tracer is absolutely free, and it's a great tool that Cisco's provided for us. This is the final question. It is double points. Why is the RIP route in this example, why is it used when forwarding to 10.1.5.46, that destination IP address? And if you're thinking, hey, Keith, you just said that to get into the routing table, it's AD. But once you're in the routing table, it's always the longest match? Is that always true? Unless you're using policy-based routing. Yes. Or maybe Keith is trying to trick us. Maybe it's not the longest match that wins. Now I'm confused. And Pedrito, I would agree with your answer. Yeah, Kitty Meow, you're right. Terrible cover-up. Keith, you'd never be good at lying. I hope that's the case. Yes, Paul CCNA is saying another way of saying the longest match is the most specific route that matches. Yes, 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 yes. Love it. Boom, longest match. Once it's in the routing table, it is indeed the longest match. I'm interested in seeing the winner's table here. All right, third runner-up, Amusing Hen. Congratulations. Thank you for participating, everybody. Epic Elephant. And the winner with 12,003 points. Getting 10 out of 10 questions correct. Funny Emu crushes it. Wow, that's fantastic. And we have a few runners-up as well. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased. First of all, I'm pleased that you're taking the time to study and get better. And let me also go ahead and get feedback. And if you could take just a moment right now on your app or on your phone or wherever you're running this to go ahead and provide your feedback over. Also, if you notice in the upper left-hand corner here, this shows us overall how many answers we got correct. 53%. So in some environments, that would be considered, what's the word? a failing grade. But the cool thing is these playlists and these quizzes are going to help us identify those areas before we sit down. So once you're in the exam environment, whether you're taking it from, online or you go to a physical facility and you sit down, just take a deep breath, assuming you've prepared and labbed and practiced. And then there's going to be some questions that you don't know the answers to. That always happens to me. I took an RC, a CCNP level exam a couple weeks ago, and there was it was the core level for long story short, I taken the exam. There were some questions I had no idea what the correct answer is. I've heard of this technology, but I'm not sure what the correct answer is. I thought, well, it's one question. I got multiple choice. Boom. Go to the next one. Smile, and don't let it eat you up, because you don't have to get 100%. You just have to demonstrate that you understand the technology enough. Also, if you're curious, am I good enough yet? Do I know it yet? Of course, the quiz questions in the playlist for online quiz questions can help. But also, just look at the blueprint. And as you go over the blueprint, with the exception of EAGRP, which isn't there, but now you know, just ask yourself, if it says configure OSPF, say, could I do that? Or if it says describe this, or, configure and verify, like routing or trunking or switching or security, whatever it is, ask yourself, could I do this? Could I lab this up right now and do it at the level they're asking? If the answer is no, just identify a little bit more studying to do and get it done. Have some fun, and then carry that information forward. So here's what I would like to do. Every Sunday, we've done this fairly consistently for the last many, many weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 18 weeks. Every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we will do another quiz. I'll create some other quiz questions for us. My thanks to Kelvin for helping me proof these beforehand. Also, join us on Discord. In the Discord server starting next Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Adjust your clocks accordingly. We're going to have instructor hours with Keith. And this is a chance for you to come in and bring your questions specific to CCNA preferably. And hey, this packet tracer lab, I don't get it. How does this work? So do your studies, practice, and if you have those questions, bring them in. And if you come in brand new and say, well, can you explain the meaning of life in the universe? I'm going to say, have you studied that yet? For trunking, switching, routing, security, network automation, have you studied that yet? That's going to be one of my questions if you are just saying, hey, please teach me everything there's to know about one of those topics. I want you to study first and then bring in specific questions or problems, or if you want additional insight, I'm happy to do that. That's what we'll be for. So it's Keith Barker office hours, 10 a.m. every Saturday, Pacific time. We'll do it for 1 hour. Love to see you there. Also, in the Discord, that'll be in the Discord server. The link is in the video. Also, there's a CCNA voice chat room. And what I'm going to do in a few minutes, if you're watching this live, let's jump in there if you want to join us. And I will review any of these questions that may be our first order of business. If you have any questions about any of these questions, like why is that true or how's that work, I'll bring it up. I'll share my screen inside of Discord. It'll be in the CCNA voice chat room, and love to see you. And we'll cover those questions, and I've got a commitment in about 30 minutes I need to leave for, but that'll give us enough time to cover all that content. So if you have any questions for me directly, you could bring them to Discord, and that way you won't have to scroll all the way through. Oh, you know what? There is one question I want to take. Let me move my video over here. Did you take your exam last month? Yes. Okay, so this is Converge World who's posting that, saying, Keith, did you take your exam? And that person, Converge World, is keeping me honest because I made a commitment. I said in the month of August, September now, in the month of August, I'm going to take my next CCNP level exam. And you know what? I did, and I passed it. Now, I got to tell you something. This is something you should all do. I committed publicly that I was going to do it. So I knew there was 5 people, you were aware of this, and I want to keep my promises. And so I took it on the last weekend of the month from home. I was scheduling it online. Okay, I committed, I got to take it. So I took it, I passed, that recerted my CCIEs, and it's fantastic. So I'm good for my CCA for another couple of years because I've taken a few professional level exams now. So thank you for asking that. And, while I'm here, if you want, in about 10 minutes, I'll be in the Discord server. If you want to warm yourself up there, that's great. It'll be in the CCNA voice chat room in just a few minutes. If you need to bolt, that's cool. And I'm just going to take a few more questions right here. You're welcome to hang out as well. Love to see you. Jeff is asking, do you use a Cintiq or an Intuos tablet? I use a Cintiq. So this monitor right here, I can't move the camera, but not at the moment, it's big. This thing right here is a Wacom Cintiq 22-inch HD display. So I didn't get the one that you can touch because I touch my screens a lot. I don't want to activate, but I do use this pen, and that's what I use. For my primary writing display, I use this Cintiq 22-inch. Great. And Techness is saying, oh no, I'm too late. It's okay. You can check this out. YouTube does a huge favor for all of us, and that is they capture this, record it, and it goes up, and I'll put it in the playlist. So you can just sort through the online quiz playlist and get to any topic you want. Had a lot of fun making this today. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Let me just... And then we will be jumping in Discord in a few moments. All right. Ryan, you are certainly welcome. Converge World, thank you for that feedback. And Balai is saying, join Discord. We're waiting for you. I'll be there soon. And will you do a video about your CCNP exam experience? That's on my list. So I took Encore and I took NRC, and I'm also going to take one on SD-WAN coming up here. So I may make some short ones for those. So thank you for that idea. I'll put that in my queue as ideas. Any plans on creating a new series playlist on YouTube? So Umair, that's a great question. I have most of my focus in the last year, since October of 2019, has been on CCNA, because the new CCNA came out in February of 20... What year is it? It's 2020. So February of 2020, the new CCNA exam, all the new Cisco exams came out. So my focus for this channel has been to help people with resources for CCNA. Now I do have some other stuff that's coming up. They won't be very thorough, like a whole end-to-end course for Encore or NRC or SD-WAN here on YouTube. But if you want that content, there's a free 7-day thing over at CBT Nuggets, which is my full-time gig. That's how I get paid. So you can sign up for a membership there. It is costly. I mean, it's not freely, but it costs money. But all my CCNP content is there as well. So I probably won't be creating a whole bunch of CCNP level stuff like as thorough as I did for CCNA here on YouTube. But I appreciate the ask, and I love teaching. I think we can help the most people on this channel at the CCNA level. And Kitty Meow saying, have you taken a Pearson exam online yet? Yes, I took CCNA. I've taken NRC and Encore. Those are 2 professional level exams, and all online. I love it. I do. I was asked once to, in fact, I have a video on my CCNA online experience, so you can check out that video. I was also asked in my last exam to close the curtain behind me. I was facing the backyard, and on the kitchen table, everything was cleaned off, and they asked me to close the curtain. I said, sure. They just want to make sure that the exam is being protected. Yep, Kelvin, I'm going to take the SD-WAN exam. I just can't pronounce it. Enswitty? Anyway, I created the course with Knox and Jeff over at CBT Nuggets for SD-WAN. And so I'm doing just a couple of YouTube videos to help people with the basics of that. But since I worked on the exam or the course at CBT Nuggets, I might as well sit it and get my certification just to help verify my knowledge of the product and validate that I have some awareness of it. Okay, Umair, you're very welcome. Very, very welcome. And when comes vSphere 7 at CBT Nuggets? Thanks, Mox. So here's the dealio. I'm going to give you the inside scoop here. And this will be just for us, because I'm going to clip all these comments and this part of the video. So when you get to the online playlist, there'll just be quizzes and not a lot of the dialogue after, like this. I worked with, back in VMware for vSphere 5.5. When I first created that, I loved it. It had so much fun. And then we upgraded to 6, and then 6.5, and then the update for 6.7 came out. And when 6.7 came out, I worked with Jacob Moran at CBT Nuggets to do that update. Super. Now we have the VCP. This is VMware certifications. So in VMware, they came out with the VCP 2020. And I thought, great, let's do it. We'll get Jeff Kish, double CCIE. We'll get Jacob, who's amazing with VMware. We'll get myself. And we'll just recreate this whole thing with version 7. It's going to be great. And then we had it all planned. We're going to do it. Then we looked at the blueprint, my words for the exam outline from VMware regarding vSphere. So basically, we'll do the whole VMware discussion another time. But we looked at the blueprint, and it's based on 6.7, all of it. It's not based on 7.0 yet. So as soon as VMware comes out with a new certification that's based, like in my rack right there. I don't know if you can see it in camera. I've got 5 now ESXi hosts, and sometimes when I record, I've got 4 of them running, and I use some filters in OBS to help cut out all that noise. That's why you can't hear them. It's like, hey, those lights are on. How come we can still hear Keith? The answer is some amazing technology and filters that I use in software and OBS, and a low-pass filter on a preamp. Anyway, getting back to the topic there. So I love vSphere, and I love vCenter, and I've got those 4 ESXi hosts all as part of a vSphere cluster, and running in vCenter server appliance, and it's all version 7.x. So I'm currently at 7.0. I love 7.0, but for some reason VMware is not quite ready to go prime time with their certification on it. But when they are, we'll release it. All right, that was a long answer for a short question, but as soon as VMware comes out with version 7, we'll be ready to jump right on it. Okay. Kitty Meow's asking, plans to do a desk setup video, monitors, PCs, etc. I could do that. You know who has a really great video on that is Network Chalk. He had a live stream. It was from a couple Mondays ago. He does live streams every Monday. I try to catch them live. No, I don't catch them live. I watch them after. I learn from Network Chalk all the time. I mean, so he did a tour a few weeks ago. It's on his channel. And he just walked around with his external cameras and showed everything. It was fantastic. And so I just wonder, I mean, people who come to this channel, primarily you're after Cisco content. And so I wonder if a video that says, hey, here's how I do my lighting, like here's this camera, I have these poles that go vertical. I guess I could show that. I'm not sure how popular it would be. So I'll put that on my list, though. Thank you, Kitty Meow, for the recommendation, because I'm happy to share everything. I'm an open book with how I do everything and how I set it up. So it may not be the most popular video, but I'd be happy to show. I had a lot of fun setting it up. I'm still tweaking as we go. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Ryan's asking, have you ever had any thought of doing Cisco UCS videos or data center topics like MDS switches, zoning, etc.? I'm not really an expert on any of that stuff, so no. Now, at some point, I might be, and if that point comes up, I'll probably learn it and do it. And Iman's asking, oh, hold on a second. I thought somebody was knocking on my glass. It wasn't, so it must be a big bird or something outside. Anyway, Iman's asking about SD-WAN and Jeremy. So the way at CBT Nuggets we operate is they have courses that come out. We have a catalog manager. I'm not sharing anything proprietary. Catalog manager who looks at the arsenal of what we have, and then when it gets to time to create a course, we have a course owner who then says, hey, we have interest in this course. It's going to be needed for our catalog, and our customers want it. And then we offer who wants to be involved with those courses, and then we jump in and volunteer for various pieces. And so a lot of times there's a course that just is, people are busy on other projects and whatever. So I can't give you all the details regarding why a certain trainer at one point or another chose or didn't choose to join a project. But if you have a question about Jeremy, he's got a great IT channel too. It's Jeremy Chara. So I think it's called Keeping IT Simple Kits. Or This Is IT. And if you search for Jeremy Chara, Cioara, you can find him on YouTube, contact him, and ask him. So I'm sure he could give you the inside scoop on what he's working on and so forth. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Aled, thank you for that all the kind comments. Thank you. Kitty Meow saying, I thought the transformation video for this space was pretty cool. Thank you very much. I gained some skills, and I use Adobe Premiere, and I use like 5% of it. And I thought, how do I make these slides and these videos look better? I watched a couple videos. I spent a couple hours putting them together with some music. So thanks, had a lot of fun. Tom Pete's asking, do we see in future Encore as Keith Barker, CCNA? Yeah. So on the YouTube channel, I may have some topics like SD-WAN and some MPLS stuff and other things because I enjoy those technologies, but there won't be a full offering. Yeah, there's I work probably a good amount of time on my CBC Nuggets content. That takes most of my time. And I put out, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 20 hours a week into YouTube for us here. including social follow-up and so forth. And I do commercials, like, what do you call it? Where I let YouTube play advertisements, and that helps cover some of the costs of cameras and servers and so forth. But I'll tell you what, it's a tough gig I admire those people who have lots of, millions of subscribers who work so hard over the years to make such an amazing offering, and they're able to monetize it and make money off of it. First of all, they earn it. They're doing all that work, and I'm happy for it. So my YouTube experience here is not a money maker. It's not a huge money loss. I'm not like losing thousands of dollars every month, but I would say at the end of the year, it's probably close to break even with all the expenses. But anyway, glad to do it. All right, that's it. Thank you. Jorge is saying Jeremy on YouTube is keeping IT simple. I like that. Keeping it, simple. I just burped on camera. I'll have to edit that too. All right. Hey, I'll be in the Discord server in the CCNA voice chat room here in a few minutes. If you want to join me there, I'll see you there. Meanwhile, let me send you out with some cool music. See you in Discord. Bye-bye.